Hey everyone, welcome to Sunrise Extra on a Wednesday. We are talking education because so many schools are getting ready to start now their fall terms, and you see in that, no, there it is, right there.
Lower right box?
Lower right box, yes. We have a special guest joining us from Fossil, Oregon in Wheeler County, Jim Smith, who is the superintendent of the Fossil School District. And right next to him, Molly, a sixth grader in this school district. Welcome. Good morning, you guys. Thank you for waking up early with us. So Fossil Schools started this last Monday, and you guys are very special because Wheeler County, and this is awesome, has 0 coronavirus cases.
Wow,
and I was just double checking on the Oregon State's website. Yes, case count 0. So you guys are the only ones in the whole state that are allowed to have in-person classes. Bravo. Jim, tell us, how did Monday go? How did you guys prep for this?
Wow. We've been prepping since we closed school on June 1st with graduation. We've been working with a team of teachers, school board members and the like, and planning 3 paths, whether we were going to come back to school or not, whether we were going to have to continue with our comprehensive distance learning, or whether that was going to be bringing some kids in some days and other kids in the other days. And we just were waiting and all summer long on the state to give us the guidance. And then, of course, a few weeks ago, the metrics came out. Wheeler County hasn't had any cases, and we were allowed to make the decision 2 weeks ago to open. Staff was ready. We put our blueprint into play, and we opened on Monday with 70 students, pre-K through 12th grade. And we've got 5 different cohorts, and we're moving kids around and having lunch and having breakfast, and just had a wonderful day. It was so great to see all the kids we hadn't seen for 5 or 6 months. And, it was an awesome morning.
I love to hear that, but I'm stuck back on Wheeler County having no COVID
It's
cases.
amazing, right?
Jim, do you have any ideas how that happened?
Well, we're small and we're spread out population-wise. There's 3 communities here, and the average age of our community is up there in the county. And so those people took it very seriously. They were in the demographic that could become ill. So we had a lot of people that adhered to the stay home. We had a lot of people that adhered to the mask way back early on. So, and our tourist season was down because of that. There wasn't a lot of people early on that came through town. So I believe through all that in the county, those are some of the reasons why.
We definitely want to get Molly involved in the conversation, but you could probably answer this question best as well, Jim. When you say communities, you say Wheeler County, it's north central Oregon, if our viewers aren't familiar. When you say there's 3 communities in the county, what does that mean exactly?
So there's the town of Spray, which is about 24 miles from us, south, and to the southwest is the town of Mitchell. And Mitchell is right next to the Painted Hills, the beautiful tourist area of our state, one of the 7 wonders of our state.
So I will ask a question of Molly there. Molly, thanks for getting up early with us. I imagine you have a big day of school ahead. What was it like last year? Because if I'm not mistaken, your school did shut down like others throughout the state, and you did that distance learning at the end of the spring term. So what was that like for you, and how excited were you, or maybe you weren't, to get back into the classroom?
I was excited to get back in the classroom. But during online school, at first I was excited, but then during the end of it, I got tired of not being able to see my teachers and my friends.
Right.
And it was nice to get back in school and see them.
It was kind of cool to do something different, right? At first, you had this whole different school experience, but after a few weeks, it's like, can I start to see my friends again, please?
Yeah.
What do you like, Molly, about now that you've kind of experienced both worlds, why is it so much better to be in class? Did you find yourself more like focused kind of on work and seeing, problems or, lessons being taught in person a lot better than like over the computer?
It was definitely easier to do school in person than online because the teachers helped me more than my parents could help me because they are trained for that.
Absolutely. I mean, they do that every day. They're amazing people, you know, that have really risen to the occasion with everything that's going on. Jim, just a couple quick questions for you. First of all, how long have you been an educator?
I just started my 33rd year. This is my 6th year in banks, 33 years in the business.
Wow. Well, congratulations on that. That is amazing. As you look ahead to this school year, I mean, there's never been anything like this. You're operating in person, but under the threat that things can change without precautions being taken. Can you talk a little bit about the challenges or any concerns that you may have moving forward?
Yeah, that, you know, my big concern all summer long is the crossing over of our cohorts. We're so small that we've never worried about all of our kids just kind of having lunch together, traveling on the same buses together. We bus several kids from 30 miles away, all that. So we had to really dig into the nuts and bolts of the details of that. So we're operating with 5 separate cohorts in the district every day, trying not to have those kids cross paths with each other. And then the tracking of that in case there is a sickness within the county that we have to get to our local health authority. So the daily tracking of where kids are every day, who they come in contact with, is completely new for us. And so there's been a big learning curve for myself and the staff on that piece. We're not trained to do that stuff. So it's been a bit of a challenge all summer to do that.
So Jim, we have a lot of people watching, I'm sure, who are very curious, you know, how you guys are kind of structuring this. You said 5 cohorts. That means, you know, these group of kids only stay with that group of kids and don't intermingle, like you were saying. How does that specifically look during the day? Obviously, they all have to take the same classes. Are teachers, you know, coming in and out of the room? Are they having to stay in one room? How are you guys doing it?
Yeah, so at our 6th through 12 school, the 6th graders have their own room and the teachers rotate through. Our 7th and 8th graders are a cohort. They cycle through. The teachers go to their rooms.
Okay.
The kids only move for shop and PE. And then our high school kids are all in one cohort as well. And at the elementary school, I have a pre-K cohort, and then I have a K1-2 cohort, and then I have a 3-4 cohort. And they enter in different buildings. They go to the cafeterias at different times in the morning. We're feeding most of the kids in their classrooms in the morning. So we got people bringing all the food up to the classrooms and working that out because our cafeteria is so small. We can't have the social distancing that we need. Mm-hmm. So we're doing that. And then at lunchtime, we cycle everybody through. One group gets done with recess and lunch while the other group is going out, and they go out different doors and they don't intermingle that way. So we kind of got a little, I'm kind of a traffic guard at lunchtime, so to speak. So yeah.
I heard you actually are the school bus driver, though, as well. That's true,
Sometimes, right? Yeah. I'm the substitute cook, substitute bus driver, yeah.
Wow, that's a small
I'm fascinated by Fossil because so often, you know, when we focus on a school district, we start with Portland Public. It is the largest in the state, and obviously we're going to speak to the most people when we speak to families from Portland Public. If I'm not mistaken, Fossil, or Wheeler County anyway, is the least populated county in Oregon. So for the Fossil School District, is it one elementary school, one middle school, one high school? That's it? And how many total students again are we talking about?
I have 70 kids. We run a preschool program for 3rd and 4th graders, and we have 14 students there, or 3-year-olds, excuse me, not graders, 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds. And we run there's 14 children in that. And then and they're at the elementary school. And then there's K through 5 is at the elementary. I have a whole beautiful building downtown. And then I'm up on the hill this morning at the high school, middle school, which is our 6 through 12 building.
How many total students, and of that total, how many are actually coming for in-person learning? Have some opted to stay home?
Some have. We have 70 students that we're serving, and 66 are coming to school every day. Two families had some family situations where they were just had some folks in their family that they might be concerned about if we did have an outbreak. So we're serving those students online.
Gotcha.
That's an
great.
amazing community, isn't
Yeah.
it? So, Molly, I have a question for you. Because your school district has done so well and the county has done so well with no coronavirus cases, how are you feeling in general as you look at the news and maybe your family discusses COVID-19 and how it's really impacting our entire country? But from where you sit, you're a 6th grader. Does that mean you're 12 years old?
11.
You're 11. So how are you feeling? Are you not concerned? Are you scared a little bit? Like, can you give me a little bit of an idea of where you are?
I am a little nervous because I don't want COVID to come to Fossil and then have us do online schooling again, because that wasn't very fun. But whenever like the family talks about COVID, it does make me a little sad, because it's sad how many cases there are and deaths.
I mean, your superintendent just mentioned there's only 3 communities, 3 towns there. In your neighborhood, I mean, how many kids, do you live in a neighborhood for starters? How many kids live near you? Have you had a lot of interaction, Molly, with kids this summer?
This summer I interacted with my best friend because she's my best friend, but I didn't have a lot of other interaction because it's a small town and there's not really anyone else. Yeah.
So Molly, run us through, when you arrive at school, what are kind of the safety protocols? Do you have to, hit the hand sanitizer on the way in? Do you guys have to wear masks? How often are you washing your hands? Kind of run us through what an average day looks like so far now that it's Wednesday.
So in the morning I come in and I grab a mask from the table, and then I get some hand sanitizer, and then I get breakfast and I go eat outside so that I can take down my mask without being inside a building. And then I go to my classes, and then I wear a mask throughout the day, except for PE because that's outside.
Jim, I'm curious here. Online, we have people watching and they're also asking questions. So when I'm looking at my phone, I'm kind of scrolling through to see what people are saying. Good morning to Mindy out there watching. She brought up something that I hadn't really thought of, but I guess it makes sense. She says that she went to school there, and she says, I hope all this works for you guys. She mentions there are no medical facilities there. What is the closest, if someone, God forbid, were to become ill, where would they have to go?
We actually have a clinic in town. It's been here a little over a decade. It's the Asher Clinic. They work hand in hand with us in this start. We had about 85% of our staff got tested. They have a state-of-the-art testing machine. And we had 0 cases of our staff that got tested. So we wanted to make sure that we put that out there for our community to make sure that they were feeling safe sending their kids to school. And so if someone has any symptoms, every one of our teachers and staff members has a thermometer on them. We're going to check kids every time they feel like they're being sick. We screen all of our preschoolers before they come into school in the morning, the 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds. So the one thing that ties into that is that, we haven't been together for 5 months. And at regular start to school, you're going to get kids that are going to get sick, and teachers are going to get sick. What we've got to really be careful of is not to put a stigma to illness and say, get all worried about that. And just kids are going to get sick, and it's probably not going to be coronavirus. But so the metrics for the state is if they have a fever, we're calling their parents and they're going to go home. But there is a clinic in town, and Madras is 50 miles away, 60 miles away, and it takes about 70 minutes to get there. And so we can go to the doctor there.
St. Charles there. Okay, we got a question from someone on Twitter, Jim, who seems to know quite a lot about Fossil High School. He is asking, will the Knights play football this year? What about sports?
Yeah, sports are off, and we are no longer the Knights. We used to combine with Condon in a co-op. We're now the Wheeler County Rattlers, and we combine with all the Wheeler County schools. That changed a few years ago as well.
And now you're dominating, right?
What's that?
I said now you're dominating.
Oh yeah, we got 3 schools, and we got about 15, 16 kids on the football team, same thing on the basketball team, and
That's awesome.
we travel an hour to go to practice, and
Wow.
yeah, it's quite an ordeal out here. But no, the OSAA has stopped sports
Right.
until probably January. I think the executive board with the OSAA will reassess that in November, and we'll know more.
Yeah, I guess if you are the only school district
Right.
that's in person, then there is no one to play.
Yes.
Right.
So,
Sport's
yeah.
very difficult when there's no opponent available. Molly, I have a question for you. You're awesome for coming on as early as you have with us this morning. What if they found out, Molly, what if they found out that it was the drinking water in Fossil that was keeping everyone COVID-free?
Oh.
Would you be willing to share that water with the rest of us?
Oh, boy.
For money, I would.
She is learning things, Jim.
Our entrepreneur. Good answer, Molly. You never know what Drew is going to say to
Oh,
you.
my
Great
God.
answer.
So since Monday, I mean, have you been running around, Jim, like crazy? I gotta think like all the parents are just so, they want to keep it this way and not screw things up, to keep their kids in class, because it's just got to be, I don't know, it might be easier with fewer students to do virtual learning, but I imagine it's just hard for everyone.
Out here last spring, our issue was connectivity in our rural areas. This summer, we did get fiber for the first time in town, and so some of our community is starting to grasp onto that. But last spring, that was a difficult thing, getting and keeping in connection with some of our families that come from a long ways away that didn't have service, and still trying to meet those kids' needs. We were driving lunches out 30 miles every day, making sure kids were fed. We had a whole team of people doing that. But yeah, I have a little four-wheeler, and I just bust around from school to school, and I'm trying to be, in the mornings, greet every kid, watch everything in the classrooms.
Nice.
Kind of watch how the first 2 days I was really watching the flow and trying to keep the cohorts apart. And then each night we've regrouped as a staff and said, okay, we got to change this time frame a little bit. So we've had some minor adjustments over the last couple of mornings. And I have another one we made last night. This morning, when I get done with you, I'll be out watching all of that and seeing how if we've cleaned that up a little bit, is just to keep those cohorts as separate as we possibly can through the course of the day.
Can you say more, Jim, about the demographics of your district? Because I thought it was interesting when you just mentioned driving meals to some families. And we're certainly focused on equity, all across the country and here in Portland. But as far as access to things, computers, meals, we always talk about summer being really hard in the Portland metro area because some students here depend on the school districts to have a hot meal. Can you give us a little more insight if that applies or not, or what kind of to what level that applies in Wheeler County?
Yeah, Wheeler County, apart from being the county with the least population, it's also the lowest gross median income in the state of Oregon. So we have families that for them, they do really well, but for overall, their income probably isn't where they'd like it to be. The county doesn't have a lot of jobs, so it's difficult that way. A lot of service industry jobs, some ranching jobs, farming jobs, those kinds of things. A lot of people work for the school district or the county seats here. So that's the way that kind of our demographics are.
What about any curriculum changes, Jim? Are teachers talking about kind of coronavirus? Are teachers talking about the equity or the racial justice kind of movement going on across the U.S. Now that, it's just everywhere, you can't escape the times that we're in, and I'm sure that weighs really heavy sometimes on kids.
Yeah, so we talked about that during our in-service, that it was very important for us to talk about the virus and what the kids were going to be going through, giving them some time to have a voice in what their summer was like, what the online learning piece was like. So we spent some time with that this week. Also just on normal hygiene and why we're doing this and how germs are spread and those types of things. As far as the social justice piece, our community is very much engaged with what's going on in the world. And we had a couple staff members and community members that organized our own little Black Lives Matter this summer, and we're on a corner doing their thing. So they're our kids are aware of all that stuff. Our community is aware of all that, and they're very supportive of our schools and our kids in that regard. This is a great community to raise kids and to have them go to school.
You're fortunate enough to have in-person learning right now there in your school district. You went through distance learning though in the spring. So many other school districts still having to deal with that this fall. So what would you say, Jim, was maybe the biggest concern, the number one issue when it came to distance learning? Did you come up with a resolution for that? Because it could be something that other families throughout the state are still dealing with.
Well, all the high school kids aren't going to like to hear this answer, but it was the accountability piece. And not being able to grade them. You know, a high school kid finds out, I was a high school kid once, you know, I find out I'm not going to be graded on an assignment, but I have to do it. I'm probably checking out a little bit. So we had some of that. We had to work really hard with our families to get some of our high school kids to meet us halfway and get some stuff turned in, because they were like, I'm not getting graded. Why am I turning this thing in? So I think the state has fixed that piece as we move into this new year with some of those schools going comprehensive distance learning. And I know that we're glad to have our kids back, so we have that accountability piece with them. Right.
So I think, rumor has it that we have a higher concentration of viewership this morning from Wheeler County than we ever have before, specifically the Fossil School District. So Molly, top of your head, I don't want you to play favorites necessarily, but maybe the top of your head, Molly, do you have a teacher that you want to give a shout out to and let us know why that teacher is awesome?
Mrs. Hoover, because she's really nice and she's really helpful when I need help in math.
You know, when it's all said and done, when push comes to shove, you look back at all the teachers you ever had from your childhood. When you think about the ones you liked, what's the first thing you think about that person? They were nice. It starts with being nice, right? Molly, you were awesome today. So were you, Jim. Thank you so much. Jim, the superintendent again of Fossil School District. They are doing in-person learning because Wheeler County, the only county in Oregon to not have a single case of COVID-19.
Bravo.
So that deserves a congratulations and a continued success there in staying healthy.
Yeah, keep it up. Jim and Molly, thank you guys so much. Good luck with the rest of the school year. Maybe we'll check in with you guys in a couple months.
HW is the best. Thank you.
Yay.
Thank you. Take care, you guys. Good luck. Have a great morning.